live chat on Twitch right now on twitch.tv/the Geek Down. But I need to go into Takashi Miike's, or Miike Takashi, depends on where you're from and how you say it. His latest film, recently released here in America, but apparently available in Japan about 6 months ago.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, no, it came out in April or June of 2017. Blade of the Immortal, based off of the very popular anime manga, which DJ Herbert Herb in the background, I believe you are familiar with.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so give us a storyline from the comic, man. What's going down?
So I think it's this is a story about an immortal samurai who travels Japan and makes a promise he was gonna kill 1,000 evil men.
1,000 evil men must die.
But it turns out that feudal Japan is in black and white, and and lies in a whole bunch of shades of gray. So
everybody has an intricate story.
Yeah. So yeah, he joins this little girl who's trying to seek revenge for her family, and the story goes on from there.
All right, well, that's pretty much the way it plays out, almost exactly in the movie. In the movie, from Takashi Miike, starring now. I want to make sure I get this right because, doggone it, what's his name? Jeez. Yes, Rin Asano, played by Rina Sato, is the little girl in question, and her acting was superb because you don't really expect that kind of emotion from a child, and you read her facial expressions, you feel pain. Anytime she was embarrassed, anytime she was angry, anytime she was sad, the few times she was genuinely happy in this movie, because her story is rough, but the acting really came across far more than you'd expect for somebody so young, so I really wanted to call that out. But dude, the story is, Manji is, yep, he is a, damn, he's immortal. That's pretty much all you can say about it. He was a samurai. He wanted to get revenge on these 1,000 evil men for the death of his sister. Like, his whole family's gone, his sister.
And how old is he, do you know? You just know he's immortal, but do you know when...
well, this story takes place about 50 years after he's made immortal.
Okay.
But we don't get an original age on him at the start. So he's, I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 40, it looks like.
Sure.
And he's playing somebody 50 years after his own sister passed away. And this girl approaches him because he's recommended, oddly enough, and I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, I don't think it is, by the woman who made him immortal, to find a protector, to get revenge on the evil men who, in turn, in this new age, have murdered her family. And the movie takes off from there. It's the story of one girl and her bodyguard seeking out and getting revenge on I was going to say group of assassins. Actually, they're a school trying to take over the other schools in Japan. So they're the only sword martial arts academy ever. And I guess that was a big thing in the Edo period of Japan.
Sure.
Yeah. Dude, the movie goes out of its way to have these characters all seem like, this dude's like the man. This one's serious business. That one, oh my God, they got him. And then I imagine, because it's a compressed, and I mean, when I say compressed, this was about 2.5 hours long. I think longer. And it didn't feel like it. But it was a long movie, but it was still compressed in the movie time. So when they introduce these characters and you think you're going to see more of them, this one's going to come back and this one's going to be big. They're going to have this huge scene. And they're dispatched fairly quick. You know, I don't think anyone specifically had more than a 10-minute arc, save for one guy who you later on think is on your side and isn't. One dude who, the main big bad. And possibly one guy who you think is a second bad, and it turns out, no, he's got a much larger role. So, besides them, they introduce maybe 20 different characters that come up, they have names, they have a quick story, and I imagine that was, like, huge in the book, but in this film, they're in and they're out.
Right.
You know, and
they're just trying to do the service for, the recognition that it was taken from the book.
Normally, that's something I would hate. Normally, I would say that cheapened the effect so much, but the fact that this movie played out so well and respected the storyline. Nothing was played too much for laughs. Nothing was done like half-assed. They didn't cheap out on costumes or set design. The locations were, I mean, to be fair, it was all in the forest. I mean, I guess I can't praise that too much. It's like, okay, we need trees there. Okay, we need more trees there. We need trees and dirt that way.
Oh, did it look good? Yeah.
Oh, it looked great. Yeah, this wasn't like, in Central Park.
Right.
They didn't find a shady spot in the comments to film this. This was on proper location, and it looked like beautiful. The costumes were amazing. I believe this was like cameras in the era, and I also believe the body damage, because so many folks got effed up in this. This was wall to wall butt.
Which is what
this was all ass beatings.
Which is what he's known for. Which is kind of a trademark for this director.
Yeah,
is the violence and the carnage and Audition. Happiness of the Katakuris.
Yeah,
Ichi the Killer.
And I almost said Visit a Q. Was that one of his?
Yes.
Visit a Q was one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sukiyaki Western Django was his as well.
Dude, and he's known for just like raw.
Very,
violence.
very, very violent. But he also does like some children's movies. He also does some lighter fare too. But he's definitely, his trademark and what he's most known for is definitely the edgier side of the cinema.
Yeah. Winnie the Pooh, Death in the 100-Acre Woods.
Which would actually sounds like a plot to one of his movies, I'm sure. You know, he definitely does some out there weird stuff, you know. So he's definitely an edgy guy, and he's made, I think he has 102 director credits on IMDb.
More. I counted out a bunch of them trying to find out, because they say this movie specifically, Blade of the Immortal, is his 100th film, and it's being touted that way.
Right.
But if you actually check out his catalog, go on IMDb or Wikipedia or any of those, and you count them out, he's approaching like 110. So I mean, it's not that far off, and they're saying this one is 100 specifically. Maybe it was made at the time and they counted that, but this is.
He's doing like 15 to 20 things a year.
Yeah, Scorsese's touted as one of the best filmmakers. He's got what, 15 films under him?
And probably.
Maybe a
little more than that, but
yeah, maybe a little more. But look at Spielberg. Spielberg is like the name, and you say great directors, Spielberg's name comes up. Both direction and production.
Yeah, but the volume of films you make doesn't mean
this. I'm not saying. I'm just calling attention to the sheer volume here.
Right.
You know, it's just like we have people that we tout as the greatest, and this man, just by the ratio of films, has so much more work under his belt in approximately the same amount of time. And what really threw me is, I think the most he's ever had was 9 films come out in 1 year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I have trouble committing to a project for like 6 months, and this dude,
you just
9
like how
films.
efficient you have to be as a director.
Seriously.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's like the Borg, man.
But also, like, if something doesn't work, you know what I mean? Where another director would be like, okay, let's stay here until we get it right.
Yeah,
I don't think that exists in his directing style.
Probably. Well, from what I understand too, not all of his movies are well received. Like, some people really have problems with some of his films. The one that came out before, I'm blanking on the name. I know it starts with a T, but the one that came out before Blade of the Immortal came out last year. And everyone expected it was going to be like a really big hit, and it kind of bombed for him.
Right.
This one, I guess, technically kind of bombed too. It's only come out in Japan until now. So now Western audiences can go see it. Hopefully it'll show up the numbers. But they've been complaining online that the major reason that people think this is doing so poorly, it's only returned about 6 million, 6.4 million, I think, since its release, and it's been about 6 months out.
Okay.
So within about 6 months, and
they're not really pushing these films here. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna like harp on them too much for that. It is a story that most Western audiences, when you have Fast and the Furious movies doing like, you know, gangbusters here,
like $1 billion worldwide.
A samurai revenge movie doesn't really sound like the next Michael Bay blockbuster.
Right.
You know. But I mean, this is definitely a movie people should see. I'm gonna say right now, I'm giving it a thumbs up. The gore was beautiful.
Like, yeah, he does. Like, I remember when I first saw Ichi the Killer, like how over the top violent that is, and it's just about a guy that is a sadomasochistic guy who just inflicts pain in the most over the top ways that you can imagine, and it's just so beautifully violent that it's just like you have to laugh at it almost in self-defense. You're like, wow, you know, it's one of those, an audition for how creepy and
what gets me every
gnarly
time
that film is
Audition is a story about torture, plain and simple.
Yeah.
But when the girl cuts the guy's foot off,
with
just the slow drawing of this wire
and
you hear it off screen.
And when you first see it, you're like, "What is that?" Yeah, it's one of those films you should definitely seek out if you haven't heard of it or haven't seen it yet.
Yep, I would tout Blade of the Samurai as one of these must-see movies. Blade of the Immortal. Look at me.
Yeah.
Because the story itself, it throws you a lot of curves, and you wouldn't see this if you're not familiar with Takashi Miike movies, or you expect just a general samurai movie. He fights, he works his way up the ranks to the big boss, then he fights the big boss. Maybe he loses, and the girl has to fight the big boss, something like that.
I like the
everyone
Immortal.
had a story in this.
I like the Immortal kind of story. I'm like a Highlander fan, so I like the kind of, you've been around so long, the devil may care attitude, you know what I mean? You're going into this fight and you're not going to lose, so it's just this kind of laissez-faire attitude towards battle, it's great.
What I really loved about this one is, I'm glad you brought up Highlander, because Highlander, they have so much time on Earth, they hone their skills, and they become the best swordsman ever.
Right.
This dude, no, he's not the best swordsman at all, by no means whatsoever.
Why did he have to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's just like, I'm not going to die, so do your worst. Bam, once you tire yourself out, stab. What I love, too, and they got this exactly right. He's not like the greatest swordsman. He's not, really skilled or really stealthy or anything. He's just, you know what? I got weapons. Kill me. Boom. You killed me. Guess what? I came back. Oh, boom. And he throws his arms down, and like 30 swords drop out of his sleeves. He's got swords. He's got spears. He's got kunai, shurikens, just dropping out blades on chains. The multi-segmented bamboo spears with the dual blade heads. He's got these signature swords that are curved, and it's like one long blade and one shorter blade. They look almost like Chinese swords, but they're somewhere between Chinese swords and battle axe, if you can imagine that. It's a little weird. You have to see it to get it. But it's just awesome. The weaponry in this was spectacular. Everything was so damn beautiful, and then it played out for laughs. That's one thing I didn't expect, because everything seemed really serious at the beginning, and the whole thing was dark and gory and gritty, and there's blood, and then people like opening wounds and like putting worms in there, and that might be a little bit of a spoiler, but if you don't know the story, that means nothing to you. But it was beautifully gory and disgusting, but also when you see him, like someone stabs him in the chest, you thought you were going to stand up with me, and then he's just like, ugh, and he starts to walk away, and he gets up, ugh.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I said I laughed. I laughed at the violence. You have to almost, because it's so crazy. Oh, yeah. It's just so you can do nothing but laugh or turn the TV off. You know what I mean?
And I also want to call it the acting, because one thing that I did notice, that you see the baddies, the bad guys at the start of this movie, and they just seem like the worst people ever. And then most of them are, and they show themselves to be, but a couple of them, they get a chance to tell like their story. And most of them. One of them is just like, oh no, you are the most messed up person ever in the history of messed up people. And Herb, if you've no, I'm talking about. Yeah. But some of them are just absolutely brilliant. You hear the story of one of the other one of the enemy assassins, and it's just like, oh, this dude has a sympathetic story, and he's kind of along the same lines as our hero, and I want to see more from this dude. And then nope, he's out. That was my actual beef with the movie, that it didn't give us it teased a lot of this.
Yeah.
And if I want the full stories of these people, I may have to go back and read the manga, which I guess would serve for them, but as an audience member, I feel a little robbed. It makes you sympathize. Okay, now I'm complaining about good acting.
Yeah.
Jeez, okay, but it makes you sympathize for the big bad villain, because when you find out his story,
it's like, why would we like Tony Soprano? You know what I mean?
True, but it's just like, dude, yeah, you got the rawest of raw deals, but that doesn't justify like what you did. We still hate you.
Yeah.
We forgot we hated you for a minute. You know, I mean, you did a good job there, but dude, you are horrendous and awful. And this movie made you feel that anger, and I love that. This gets a thumbs up completely. It's Takashi Miike's Blade of the Immortal. It's available now in theaters, but you have to find like a local indie theater. So if you have one of those in your in your region, maybe like an Alamo Draft House. We have the Kendall Theater here, which is odd because we have like 3 or 4 different independent theaters. It's only playing at one of them. It's only playing at the Kendall and Salem, which I guess technically isn't in our region.
No.
Yeah, so it may be a little hard to find, but I highly recommend it. It's Blade of the Immortal by Takashi Miike.
And check out the guy's work too.
Absolutely thumbs up.
If you can't get to this one, check out his past stuff, which is great. A lot of good
Visit a queue if you have a Visit a queue or audition if you have a really strong stomach.
Yep.
Ichi the Killer and less so. That's more of a I just want to see some dudes get messed up.
Yeah.
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 Reflect on the memory, Adam. Reflect on the memory.
It's so good.
All right, but no, if you have anything to say about those, hit us up at geekdownradio@gmail.com. Let us know what's good, or hopefully you catching us on twitch.tv/thegeekdown. Jump into the chat, talk to us. Let us know what's happening. I'm gonna kick it back over to Just Johnny because my man, I know you're excited for it. I know you're jazzed. He got to play Party Hard 2, a game